YouTube, Coppersan here. MapleStory is almost 20 years old and tons of things have changed over the years. So today we're checking out the evolution of one of MapleStory's most iconic classes, the Shadower. This class was completely broken at times and has had its playstyle completely revamped over the years, with about 3 big game-changing remasters and revamps happening along the way. We're starting off pre-Big Bang, pre-2010, when bandits still had their iconic Savage Blow skill that would hit 6 times and make that iconic sound. Back then, this was the skill that did the most lines of damage of any class in second job. It was weak, but it sorta was the start of Line Story. The developers never really seemed to know what to do with the skill though. It has gone through so many different iterations and looks, getting revamped in both the skill visuals and damage numbers over time. The original Savage Blow also showed characters, which when translated means something like Sky, Flow, Blood, Slash and Kill, or Cut the Sky until it bleeds strike. We all thought something different what it meant. I don't read the language though, so I don't know. But it definitely was a cool touch. Bandits also had the iconic Haste skill that boosted the party members' jump and speed, and more obscure skills like Endure. This skill was a passive that boosted your HP and MP recovery while hanging from ropes and ladders. Potions were pretty scarce back then, so skills like this did make more sense. The old Chief Bandit was very different pre-2010, with skills like Assaulter, which are great to use when you're moving around the map, moving between platforms, and Band of Thieves was their mobbing skill. The Chief Bandit didn't have any skills like Flash Jump or Shadow Partner back then. Those skills were added later. Only Night Lord had Flash Jump as Shadow Partner. Their Chakra skill was just a healing skill, with the drawback that you would actually take more damage if you got hit by a monster while you're using the skill. Bandits also had the most broken skill in the entire game, Meso Explosion. Back then, Meso Explosion worked completely different. You could either explode the mesos dropped by monsters when you're using Pickpocket, that toggle that's still there, or bandits could drop their own mesos back then and explode those for massive damage. This caused rich maplers to blow up any boss simply by dropping their mesos and using Meso Explosion, making bandits technically the first pay-to-win class. Rich Chief Bandits even used this to train faster if they had the funds. Bandits would even take less damage by consuming mesos thanks to their Meso Guard skill. It was all about mesos back then. When the 4th job was released, Shadowers learned even more impressive damage dealing skills like Assassinate. Back then, the longer you stayed in Darkside, the more damage the skill would do. Skills like Smoke Bomb were already there, but back then, if you were standing inside the smoke, you would just not take any damage whatsoever, which was pretty broken if you ask me. Their main grinding attack back then in 4th job was Boomerang Step, which did a massive 2 lines of damage. Man, Maplers were built different back then. They also had other skills of their arsenal that have been completely removed since, like Ninja Ambush. That skill was only useful in some boss fights due to its low damage, but hey, at least it ignored damage reflection. And skills like Taunt. If you hit a monster with this skill, the monster's defense would increase, but it also increased the EXP and drop rate once the monster was defeated, which was sort of a double-edged sword back then. After the Big Bang update, the Explorer classes did get some minor changes with some big impacts. Slowly, Savage Blow fell out of the meta as it could only hit one monster, and instead Maplers started grinding with Steel and 2nd job, this skill being their only mobbing attack back then. Back then, the skill also did not drop any special potions either, but you could sometimes steal mesos from monsters, and I think you could also steal items from monsters even, but I'm not too sure about that. By the time the Tempest update was released in 2012, Shadowers had already gained a Flash Jump skill in 2nd job and Shadow Partner. Band of Thieves was removed from the 3rd job advancement. Instead, Phase Dash and Midnight Carnival were added, with Phase Dash being your main mobbing attack now that Band of Thieves was removed. It was just a dash that would hit multiple monsters, but it was better than Steal, so people were just using that. Midnight Carnival would still only hit one monster back then. Channel Karma, that healing skill, was also changed into a buff that gives attack and moved to 2nd job. Meso Explosions mesos still don't fly into monsters like they do right now at that point, but that skill did get nerfed and you could no longer blow up bosses with it, making Shadowers kind of fall out of the meta at least a little bit. Meso Explosion itself was also not that exciting to use anymore like it once used to be. Also, some new 4th job skills were introduced like Sudden Raid and Body Count. Your Body Count buff back then was visualized by the little orbs floating above your character until the red update. If you then used your Body Count buff when you had all those orbs above your head, you would consume them and then you'll get a buff. Also, the Dark Flare skill was added in 3rd job, but for this skill to deal damage back then, you would actually need to get hit, and as a Shadower you usually didn't really want to get hit. This effect though was also changed later with the red update. Speaking of the red patch, this update was the next big milestone for the Explorer classes. This update was released back in 2013. This was the first big skill overhaul for this class, changing most of their skills both visually and functionally. Savage Blow suddenly gained a lot more range and lost some of its lines. The Critical Growth skill was added. This skill increased the Shadower's critical damage and critical rate with every hit, and this would reset once you hit like the max. so your critical rate and critical damage would constantly be changing. Also, when you hit monsters with your steel skill, they will now drop special potions that would heal you or give you a damage buff when used on boss monsters. The Shadower at this point already started looking a lot more like the Shadower that we know and love today. Meso Explosion now flies to monsters after the red update, but still the damage wasn't that great back then. But at least the Mesos are homing now. For Shadowers with a lot of funding, this skill was key though to keep applying damage to boss monsters and for clearing out monsters when they're grinding, once they actually did do enough damage. This was the start of Meso Weaving, where between your attacks you're using Meso Explosion for the most optimal grinding and bossing. The Assassinate skill also got some big changes, both visually and functionally. After the red update, this skill had to be pressed again after using it to unleash a final attack. The last hit would always crit and the damage of the skill was increased when you were in Dark Side or when your body count buff was 5. I totally forgot about those hyper skill passives that would just increase a flat stat or HP and stuff like that. What a throwback. There were no hyper stats back then like we know today. Also that UI, man. There weren't that many changes to most explorers for a couple of years, but it is noteworthy to mention that the pseudo teleport / dash skill into Darkness was added to Bandit's their third job, and the advanced Dark Side skill was added, which gave Shadowers a chance to stay in Dark Side even when attacking. Back in 2017, the first 5th job skills were released, and you can really tell that Nexon took inspiration from some of the older versions from the now removed skills. Shadow Assault, for example, is just a bigger and stronger version of the old Assaulter skill. And that takes us to today. After the Destiny update, the Shadowers got remastered once again. Savage Blow and Steel are still there in second job, with Savage Blow looking completely different once again. And Steel, your once made mobbing attack in second job, is now completely turned into a toggle. Meso Guard has been removed and bandits just take less damage in general now without consuming any more Meso. And they finally, after years, got the ability to jump upwards. The 3rd job skill, Midnight Carnival, got the Savage Blow treatment. This skill also used to hit only one monster, and now it hits multiple monsters as well. So you no longer need to use the Phase Dash skill as your main mobbing attack in the 3rd job advancement. The Destiny update also changed most buffs from the Shadower and turned them into either passives or toggles. Now Shadowers only need to keep their eyes on Maple Warrior and Shadow Partner. The body count mechanic has been removed and your critical rate and critical damage no longer fluctuate. Instead, everything is just applied passively, streamlining things quite a lot. This does bring a lot more convenience in making sure everything is always at max efficiency. For example, the hyper skill Flip of the Coin had to be used after every critical attack 5 times, but now it's just a toggle that works automatically after every critical attack. Boomerang Stab was also reworked and is now called Cruel Stab. It has the same theme, but it's way more flashy now. And there also are 2 versions now of Meso Explosion. One that targets monsters with the highest HP and it also buffs your Assassinate skill, and one that just targets monsters normally like before. So even Assassinate got changed again and now works together with the red Meso Explosion. Over time this class has changed a ton. It still has some of its unique mechanic that it had at its conception, but you wouldn't recognize this class if you traveled back in time to play some MapleStory, which of course would be your #1 priority if you would travel back in time. Would you like to see more videos like this with other classes? If so, let me know which class you would like to see in the next video in the comments. And that was all for today. As always, many thanks to our members for making these videos possible. Thanks to Niels de Coninck, Raar maar waar, Sebastian Hanoy, Ryalias, Terry Kim, Vareese, Mora, Lee, Historycanon, BackSpaceOTI, Saffronyx, Anwar NHI, Ziggy Deer, Flidiot, Knifesuit, Chen125, Cloudfix, Gusus Rodriguez, Froggy, Vira, Trevor, Michael Machaka, Ratius, Justin Vale, Silvio Nato, Stevie Zhang, Afterlord _MS, ceemak, Striker Elk, Tidal 1 Pan, Victor Sundstrom, Radical Jaws, Riser RU, Gummy Bullet, Lovebird, Certito655, Mathias Simonsson, Mr. Narc, Galando Balavia, PC Game Life, Dante Victory, The Passenger, Martin Panzik, I'm Disappointed, Lucky Beats, Gabriel Eck, Pedro Benedetti, Conrad Cristales, Ace Light, Ben Wolf, Max Bernhardt, Doc on a Talkerbox, Muka 1017, BNB King, Scotty Flies Fast, Priscilla, Brendon Cam, Shake1, Vague Botnet, Fecco, Gianfranco Calderon Canavero, Necrodart, Martino Def, Only, and Rashid Almarudi. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and happy mapling!